Let's throw a lidded pot together. There are so many things that you can make that have lids, so this is super fun and so versatile. I'm using B mix for my clay body, and I do all of it in one. So I just take the amount of clay that I'm going to use, and this is going to be not only just for the jar itself, but also for the lid. So I'm going to center the entire piece of clay that I choose. Now you can take any amount. The first thing that you want to do is get the clay centered. So I'm pulling it all in, then I'm going to put about a third of it to the side. So if you saw, all I did is kind of pinch in with my pinkies and cut that piece off. Let's watch that again. Now the rest of the clay that is left over, this is going to be the pot itself. The part that I took off, that part is going to be for the lid. I always make sure that lid is just going to be a little bit more clay than what I actually need, because I'll end up cutting a little bit off in the end just so that it fits absolutely perfect. So now I've recentered all that clay. I'm pulling the clay down into that hockey puck position, and I don't need to go all the way down. This is pretty low. I'll go a little bit more with the heel of my hand. I like to kind of rock my hand when I have a lot of clay like this. So I'll start in the middle with my elbow pointing out and then pull my elbow into my body. And that is going to really pull that clay down into that hockey puck position. Once I get this to where I want it, then I'm going to open. I'm going to have both hands touching each other. I'm going to go right down in the center of this piece and then pull it towards me. Once I get the depth, the thickness that I want it, then I'm going to check that thickness to make sure that I didn't go down too far or that I'm not leaving too much clay. I like to always check my thickness either when I'm throwing and also when I'm trimming. Checking that just ensures that I have the right amount of clay that I'm using. So once I've got my thickness checked, now I'm going to open this baby. I'm just pulling both hands together all the way towards me. I don't want to go over that base, but I want to open it wide enough that I'll have a nice floor for this large pot. Now I'm going to compress that bottom. I want to make sure that clay in there is all nice and even. So I go back and forth, very slow with my hands, but super fast with my wheel. The faster your wheel is going at this point, the easier it is to get that nice and smooth and even. If your wheel is going too slow, you're going to start getting little ringlets in there. You're going to have a little spiral, and that is not going to be good. So speed your wheel up if that's happening, and then you'll be just fine. You'll have a nice even floor. You can see here that I gouged the bottom of my clay with my thumb in one spot, so now I need to fix it. In order to fix something like this, all you have to do is really hold and compress. So I am pressing really quite hard on the very top of this donut shape and also on the side. I want to hold it steady until there's absolutely no rocking. If they're still rocking, don't make that pull. So I've got the rocking out, and now I'm going to move up. So I'm started at that base. I've got that C shape for my left hand, and I'm going to go all the way up to the rim. Regroup that rim as soon as you get up there. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of water, kind of clean my hands up, get the water out of the inside. And I just kind of run my hand down the side of the pot to get off any clay chunks that fell off of my hand or wherever. You can see that base still has that little rock in it from when I gouged it. I'm hoping to get that out by just pressing in right there and making that pull. I'm going very slow and steady all the way up. I can see that I've just got, it's going to fight me a little bit, but that's okay. We're the boss, right? We'll make sure that we can get it. Holding it nice and steady and making sure your arms are anchored is key for this. Once you get to the top, regroup that rim. Always keep your rim in check. So Get to the top, regroup the rim, get the water out of the inside. Try to do that every time. That water is going to destroy your pot faster than anything else will. So make sure there isn't water pooling. You obviously need water to keep your hands lubricated, but you also don't want it sitting on the clay. So get rid of that water as soon as you can. Now start at the bottom again, and I'm going to make another pull up. You can stop at any point if your hand is getting dry, dunk it in the water, and then start back just slightly under the spot you stopped. So remember, just kind of do a visual memory of where your hand was located before you took it off of your pot. And then once you go to put it back on, go down just so slightly from that spot. And then you can continue that pull. So this happens sometimes. Your hands will just get dry and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not all the way to my rim yet. And you kind of have a little panic. Really, it's okay. Take your hands off one at a time, super slow. Dunk them in your water, clean them up, do what you need to do, and then go back to it. So here I am. I'm kind of working on shaping. At the same time, I'm making my pulls. Got my hand on the inside, just kind of bellying this baby out a little bit. The outside hand is more just for support at this point. The inside hand is the one that's really doing the shaping. I also want to make just a little bit more of a shaping pull so you can see my hand just kind of moving up that clay a little. So now I'm kind of checking it out, see where I want to go from here. Ideally for me, I want this a little more bellied out all the way up. So I'm kind of looking at it at the side. You'll see when I throw a lot, I'll kind of step back or lean back just to look at the shape of my pot. You can also use a mirror. Mirrors work wonderfully to be able to see the side. When you're looking straight down at a piece, it's really hard to actually see what shape you're creating. So having a mirror or stepping away from your pot to just look at that shape is really important. So do that. And then I also I say this in all my videos, but I love my ribs. I have got my red rib inside this pot, and it's just given me some really nice curves. And that is key for me. Any kind of tool that can help me out, I'm going to use. And these guys are fabulous. So kind of lean back. You can see that I do that quite regularly. And now I'm going to kind of flare this rim ever so slightly. So in order to get your lid to sit right inside that pot, that rim is going to have to be flared a little bit, and then you'll have to have some kind of a gallery or some kind of a ledge that you're going to have it sit on. I mean, there are some lids that are going to sit right on top of your rim. That's not the kind that I'm creating today. I'm going to have one that sits right inside there. So I'm looking at my shape, making sure this is where I want to go with it. And then I'm going to figure out how and where to make that gallery. So of course, get the water out of the inside. Can't say this enough. If you've got water in there, you're probably not going to have a bottom at the end when you go to trim. So now I'm going to flare this rim ever so slightly because it does need to be flared out in order for that lid to sit inside there. Remember, clay has memory. So if it's straight up and down, it's going to kind of pull in a little bit after it's been fired. If it pulls in a little bit, there's a good chance that that clay is going to wrap around your lid and your lid is going to be permanently attached. We obviously do not want our lid permanently attached, so we're going to flare it out a little bit, maybe a little more than you want, because it is going to come in a little bit. And you can see, I just use my finger, I create a little gallery right inside this pot, and that is going to be the ledge where the lid sits. So you want to make it big enough that your lid can sit right on there, but it doesn't have to be super big. Your lid just needs a little edge to lean the rim of it on, and that will be perfect. I like to clean up my bat because when it's all done, I'm going to wipe it with a sponge so it's clean for the next person who has to use it. A lot of people in the studio use white clay also, or porcelain, or whatever you're using. And you don't want to mix those clay bodies because of your bat, or make somebody have to clean up after you. So I also like to remove any leftover clay that is on the bottom of my piece. Now I have a lid master, and I'm going to measure. I've got that opening, and I know that I want my lid to sit right on the ledge there. And so I'm going to put it to that ledge, but then I'm going to also go up a little bit. I want this lid just slightly bigger. So I measure it just slightly bigger. If my lid is a little bit bigger when I go to trim, I can always trim a little bit off. If it's too small, it's going to fall through and there's nothing I can do about it. I have to remake it. So I would prefer to not remake it. Cut this baby off of the bat, and then we'll start making that lid. So we'll just set him to the side. Now I got to figure out where, right? Make sure I can get off that chair without falling because, you know, I am a little klutzy. But here we go. All right, so I've got the part that I had cut off of that big chunk. Throw my bat right on here. I always put 1 dot of water. And then I'm going to take this clay, and when I look at it, I'm looking for an area I can slam it on the bat that is going to be the least amount of like air bubbles. I don't want any air getting trapped. So I look at that clay to find the smoothest area or the area where the least amount of clay will get trapped. Now with this lid, it's going to be just a slight domed lid. And so what I want to do is throw it almost like a plate. So I'm going to cone this baby. I'm going to get it nice and centered. I'm going to cone it up. Now I'm going to karate chop it down. And I'm going to go a little bit further down than what I normally would. And now when I open, I'm just going to press in the center. And then I'm going to pull towards the rim. I'm going to go back and forth now and compress that clay. Compress, compress, compress. I do believe in compressing. And I will do this until I feel like it's nice and smooth and even. I don't ever get any S-cracks. And I know some people don't believe that it's the compressing part, but I'll tell you, as long as your clay is nice and even and it dries evenly, you won't get those compression cracks. But I still always compress. So now I've got my walls pulled up, just like throwing a small dish or a plate, but I'm going to kind of pull this down. I don't want a super big dome because I don't think it looks good. Well, it depends on your pot. Absolutely depends on your pot. I just pull it to where I like the thickness and where I like the slight dome. Now I know this is way too big because I had too much clay, so this is where I'm going to cut it. I use that lid master to measure, and I'm going at a slight angle. If you can see this, the inside of the lid is going to be angled in. The outside is going to be angled out a little bit. This is going to help it so it fits tighter. So it'll go in at that slight angle and it'll have a really nice, perfect fit. If you have it straight up and down, it is not going to fit quite as nicely. So if you want it so it doesn't rock at all, go at that slight angle and always throw it just slightly bigger than what you need it. I'm going to measure again. I want to make sure that I'm at the right size. And remember, when you go to trim, you can always trim some off. I want to clean this baby up. Same thing. It's so much easier to clean your bat right now than after the clay dries on it. Make sure you cut this off and you're good to go. If you enjoyed watching, please like and subscribe.